And in this lesson, we'll be looking at converting the basic skirt block into 3 silhouettes. So the first thing we are going to do is convert it from the short skirt block into the long skirt block. So we'll be needing the waist to floor measurement. So all you need to do is just to take your waist to floor measurement and then measure from this top line. You measure the waist to floor measurements from the top line to the M. And then you draw your M. This is our new M line, which is the floor length. And then we extend the center front. Remember, this is our center front, this is center back. So this is the back pattern and then this is the front pattern. So I'm going to extend the center front to the new M. So I'll also extend the side seam to the M as well. So just take your ruler and then extend it. So for a bigger pattern, all you need to do is just find the measurements. Remember this, remember we divided our skirt block into 2 equal parts for the back and the front patterns. So all you have to just divide the M into 2 and then extend your side seam. Right now we have the straight long skirt, so which is just basically an extension of the short basic skirt we did. So all we did was to extend the length of the skirt from the knee line to floor length. So with this pattern, you can make a straight long skirt. The next silhouette to be looking at is the shaped silhouette. So basically you can add shaping or contouring to your skirt anywhere below the hip line. So you can do it at the knee line, above the knee line, or below the knee line towards the floor length. But for this tutorial, we'll be looking at adding a new line to our pattern. So this line is called the raised knee. So the reason why I would prefer to add my shaping to this new line is because when you shape the knee, the skirt becomes tight at the knee and difficult to walk in. So we'll be adding a new line, which is going to be between 4 to 6 inches above the knee line. So depending on how you want it, you can go for 6 inches if you want your skirt to have shaping or contouring towards the hip. So the higher you go, the more shaping or contouring it to be. So this way it will even bring out the bum and shape the bum. So I'll be working with 6 inches above the knee line. So this is all you have to do, just mark 6 inches above the knee line. And then connect. So I'll be connecting this with dashed lines. So this becomes our raised knee line. I'll be adding the shaping to this line instead of the knee line. So this makes the knee free and it makes walking easier. So to do our shaping, we are going to find a measurement which we call the knee step or the knee circumference. So this is basically the width of your step when you are walking. So to get this, we'll be using the hip measurement minus 4 to 6 inches divided by 2. So depending on the fabric you are using, if you are using woven fabric like Ankara, lace, or any fabric that does not have stretch, then you can stay between 4 to maybe 5 inches. But if you are using stretchy fabric, you can go as far as removing 6 to 7 inches from your hip measurement, so that the dress will have, it will be contoured to the body. So but for this pattern, we'll be using 4 inches. So that's going to be our hip measurement minus 4 inches, and then we'll divide that measurement into 2. We are using 2, we are dividing into 2 because I'll be applying that on the half pattern instead of quarter pattern. So the hip measurements we have here 36.5 inches. So I'm going to subtract 4 from that. That will give me 32.5. 32.5 divided by 2 is 18.25. So basically I'm going to find the difference between this measurement, that's the 18.25, and our pattern measurement. So remember, when we're drafting our pattern, we used half hip plus 1 for the width of our skirt. Pattern is 19.25. So I'm going to be subtracting the knee step, which is 16.25, from this. That will give us a difference of 3 inches. We are going to divide the 3 inches into 2. So we are going to use half of that, half of the shaping on the front pattern and the other half on the back pattern. So I have 1.5 inches. So basically what I'm going to do is, from the side seam on the front pattern, I'm going to take my 1.5 directly from the side seam of the front pattern. while on the back I'm going to divide that into two. I'm taking one on the side seam for the back pattern and then taking the other part at the center back seam. So I'll measure on my front pattern 1.5, that's the waist shaping. Then for the back pattern, remember I'm dividing it into two, so I'm going to have 1 inch. I'm going to remove 1 inch from the side seam on the back pattern and then the remaining half inch on from center back. So I have here, this is my 1 inch and then half inch. So once you have this point, all we have to do is connect it. The first thing we're going to do is connect it to the hip line, that's on the back pattern, using a straight line. So use our straight ruler to connect this like this, and then on the side seam for the back pattern we'll also use our straight ruler to connect this. So front pattern, I'm also going to use the straight ruler to connect this. Okay, so now we have our shaped skirt. So we need to use our curve ruler to smoothen the curve here. Remember, we have to avoid angles at the hip line or any other line where there should be a curve. Then you need to blend the curve using your hip curve. So I'm only using this because I'm on a scaled pattern, not the full pattern. So with this shaping, we can develop two more silhouettes from this. So one way to do this, we have the shaped straight skirt, or we can have the shaped A-line skirt. So the thing that makes it, the difference is the way the hem is. So to have the straight shaped skirt, all I have to do is transfer this contouring down to the hem. So the same measurement I had here, I'm going to transfer it to the hem. So which is, we used 1.5 for the front pattern. So I'll measure the same thing at the hem of the front pattern, and then 1 inch here. Sorry, we used 1 inch at side seam on the back pattern. I'll transfer the same thing to the hem, and then half an inch at center back. So all I have to do is take this and connect with a straight line, like so, and then connect this as well with a straight line, and then do the same thing on the front pattern. So I have my straight shaped silhouette. So you can see this is a straight shaped silhouette. So the other silhouette we can get is by connecting this shape in here. So don't forget, we also have to smoothen this curve, this line here. We have to make sure there's a smooth curve at this point. We have to make sure that the line is smooth here to avoid any angles or any point. So we have the straight shaped skirt right now. So we've moved from the short skirt, we went to the straight long skirt, then we've gotten the straight shaped skirt. So now we're going to get the shaped A-line skirt. All we have to do to get the shaped A-line silhouette is to connect this shaping directly to the initial side seam at the hem. So that means we will not be taking anything out at the hem. So remember, this is initial side seam. This is the initial side seam. That's the first skirt, the straight skirt. So this is the first silhouette that we have. For the second silhouette, we had the straight shaped skirt. This is the side seam for our straight shaped skirt. So I'm using another color. So this blue represents the side seam of the straight shaped skirt. So now we are going to move on to the shaped A line. So the only thing we are going to do here is connect this point here directly to the initial side seam. So we are just going to do this. So I'm going to connect this with dash lines. So it's sharing the same side seam here. This shaping is going to be the same thing for the A line, and then we are taking this also to the side seam like so. Then the back will do the same thing. So we are taking the center back to the initial. The difference between the shaped A line silhouette and the shaped straight silhouette is that there is no shaping at the M line for the shaped A line, while we have shaped the M line as well as the raised knee for the straight shaped silhouette. So we have our waistline, hip line, the raised knee line, and then the floor length. So this blue line represents the shaped straight skirt. The black line represents the straight skirt with no shaping, while this red line coming up here, the shaped A line, it's going to move from here following this contoured line and then this red line to the M. In this lesson, we went from a short basic skirt block to the long silhouette. So this is the straight skirt block. So we did shaping or contouring, as you may call it, and got our straight shaped. So as you can see, this is the front pattern of the straight shape. So you can see the difference here. It was shaped and contoured here. So we have the straight shaped silhouette right here, and then this is for the back, and we did that just by contouring the raised knee. And our third silhouette is the shaped A line silhouette. So we have the front, you can see the front. Our contouring was done, you can see it here. This is the front. We only contoured it at the raised knee line and then connected it to the initial M line at the side seam. So same thing with the back. This is the back pattern. We have the same M line, the back pattern. So the shaped A line silhouette has the same M line as the straight skirt. We have basically 4 skirt silhouettes that I'll be working with. So we have the short skirt pattern, the straight long skirt, the shaped straight long skirt, and then the shaped A line skirt.